Okay, right. I'm just going to go over that again just for there's a few people who have joined us. Evie, you're upside down in your camera. I don't know why you're upside down. Are you in Australia? What's happening? So what we're going to do today is we're painting. Today it's our first day painting of term 2. What I've just said, for those of you who missed it, is these paints are actually quite difficult to open, okay? So they might need a little bit of help opening these paints. So when you unscrew them, there's a piece of silver foil on the top. It's really hard to get off. I had trouble myself, so maybe it'll be okay if you just make a hole in the top of it for them, just big enough to get the paintbrush in if you can't peel it off. All right, that's my advice to you anyway. As long as it's big enough to get the paintbrush in, we'll be okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to open all our paints, or the ones we think we'll use today. I've opened all of mine, so I'm just going to unscrew all of them here. Okay. And I'm just going to pop them back in. And I actually pop them back in my little tray here when they're opened. It's just a little bit neater, I guess. Oh, there we go. Evie's the right way around again. She's back from Australia. So I'm going to open all of these paints. I'm going to pop them back into my little tray. So we're going to need a little bit of help from our parents today. For those of you who've just joined us, we have this little bit of silver, you can see on the paints on the inside. And the silver is actually quite difficult to get off. Okay, so what I've done here, you can see it, I've just made a little hole in the silver here, that's big enough to get my brush into. So that's good. We have a couple of questions here. Eve, if you've got questions, just unmute yourselves there. So Eve, you have a question for me?
Mine was really easy to open, and my mom already took the silver off.
Well, your mom is a genius. She was forward planning in your mom's part. Tell her if I could give...
She's near me, and
Eve's mom gets a gold star for being a top mom. There we go. And we've got a question down here. Is it Linda or Linda's laptop? It's Linda's laptop. Yeah, just unmute yourselves there.
And I just started, so I don't know what we're doing.
Okay, that's okay. At the moment, all we're doing is opening your paint. You're opening paints at the moment. So we're going to unscrew the top of them. We're going to take that off. And then the silver piece at the top is hard to get off. So I was just saying to your mums or dads or whoever's they're helping you, if they just want to make a hole in it for you, just for your paintbrush, it's easier than pulling off the whole thing. All right. So that's the only thing you've missed. You've not missed anything else. All right. What I've said is, because we're painting today, if you have aprons or old jumpers or something you want to wear on top, like my really cool chicken one. I got this for Easter last year. I've got a little chicken one. It's got a little dicky bow down here. It's really cute. For painting. We're also going to need, obviously, we're going to need some water, guys. Okay, just regular water. And also what's really helpful is a piece of tissue or kitchen roll. And I've just folded that over to make kind of like a sponge. Okay, that's exactly it. All right, that's all we need so far. So while we're waiting for everyone to open the paints, I'm going to show you what we're making, and then we'll go through everything else that we need. Is that okay with everyone? Yeah? Okay. So we're going to make these really cool ostriches today. I'm going to show you a little bit bigger here. I'm going to make myself a little bit bigger. This is what we're making today. It's kind of like this guy that I have behind me here. This is an earlier one that my son did, but this is the one I've done. My little example ones. And here's another one I did yesterday, okay? So that's what we're doing with our paint today. So what we're going to need, other supplies that we're going to need are glue, okay? Your paint brushes, obviously, you need those, okay? We're also going to need the straw, a straw that's in your pack. There's 2 of them and they're wrapped in white paper. So you could take it out of the white paper. We're going to use one of those today, okay? We're going to need a scissors. We're going to need your paints, obviously. And you might need you probably will need these actually. So yeah, your markers. And with the paper, we're going to need 2 sheets of white paper. 2 of those. Okay. 1 piece of coloured paper. It doesn't matter what colour you want. And it feels the same as the white paper. So it'll be nice and light, okay? And then we've got 1 piece of coloured card. Not red. and not pink yet, okay? Because we're going to need those for Valentine's. So any other piece of card that isn't red or white you can use, all right? Okay, so I'm going to go over all of that again, so don't worry, guys, especially for those of you who just joined us. Don't panic. We've been opening our paints for the last few minutes, so you haven't missed much, okay? So firstly, we're going to need our paints, and we're going to need these opened. Some of them are really difficult to open with the silver, so I suggest just making a hole in the top for the kids, if you can't peel them all off. We're going to need some water, some kitchen roll or toilet paper that's kind of folded up into a kind of a sponge shape. I got a lovely round of applause there from Eve. She's clapping. We're going to need your glue, your scissors, your paint brushes, a straw. Okay, so they're in your pack. They're wrapped in white paper, so we're going to need one of those opened. We're going to need your markers. And we're going to need 3 different kinds of paper. 2 sheets of white paper. 1 sheet of coloured paper, and it's nice and light. The card will always feel like a birthday card, okay? It's thicker, you'll feel it. And 1 piece of coloured card, and that's what we need for today to make our awesome blow art ostriches. That's what we're going to make today, okay? Right, is everyone ready to start? I'll make you small there. Give me thumbs up if you're ready to go. Brilliant, brilliant. Evie's the right way up and she's ready to go, so that's a plus. Cool, and that's fine. Right, okay guys, so we'll get started, all right? Now, don't worry if you're missing something. You can get it along the way, so don't worry, okay? We'll have time. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our 2 sheets of white paper and we're going to put one on top of the other, okay? So the bottom one is going to act like protection for your table, and we'll use some of it later. And the top one we're going to paint on, okay? And we're just going to put it down flat in front of you on the table, and we're going to start with that, okay? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my big paintbrush. Some of you have kind of 2 sizes, a small and a big one. Some of you have these big ones, okay? So the bigger of the 2, if you have 1 small and 1 big, use the bigger one. It's easier, okay? And I am going to just dip it into whatever colour paint I want. Now, what I'm trying to do is make a circle here for the face. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a big dollop of paint, and I'm going to show you on my paper what I mean, okay? I'm going to start off with a lovely orange. So I'm going to dip my paintbrush in. Look, I've got lots of paint on it. And I'm just going to dollop it on here. All right? A big dollop. I'm going to do maybe a little bit more than that, okay? You might need 2 dollops. And I'm going to wash my brush straight away. And I'm going to take my lovely straw and I'm going to blow the paint. And it spreads it out on the page like this, okay? And all I'm going to do with this now, guys, is I'm going to just do little dollops of paint around in a circle and make a 1 big circle in different colours with my, and do exactly the same thing. So I'll show you another few. Now you have a choice here. You can do all the different colours like of the rainbow, like mine, or you can do maybe just 2 different colours, or 3 different colours, or 1 colour. It's up to you what colour you want the face, okay? But the trick is that we're trying to kind of make a circle shape. I did a better job of making a circle shape with this one that I did yesterday, okay? And we're making it kind of blow outwards. So if you're trying to blow towards the edges of the page with your straw, that's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so in between each colour, just make sure you wash your brush and you can dry it on your tissue. That's what the tissue is there for, okay? So I'm going to do a lovely red colour. I'm going to do a big dollop of red next to my orange. I'm going to do maybe 2 or 3 dollops because I want a lot of red on it. Okay, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing with my straw, okay? Now, it's easier for you guys to do it on the flat, but I'm going to do it in the air so you can see. So you can see you can blow it a few times, and sometimes it crosses over onto the other colour, and that's okay, because I think that looks really cool when it's all different, blended into different colours. I think it looks really nice, okay? So that's what we're doing today. So it's called blow art, and that's what we're doing today. So I'm going to do...
Angela?
Yeah?
Is the paper bigger than the A4?
And the coloured paper is bigger. Yes, it's in a lot of your packs, it's the one that's folded over. Okay? Yeah. And Isabel is here now as well. So I'm going to let Isabel in. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so I'm going on to my third colour. I'm just going to blow that around. So you can see, look, I've blown my yellow on top of my red. I think that's really cool. It makes a different shade of orange. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to do maybe those 3 colours on mine today. But if you'd like to do it in a rainbow shape, rainbow colours, you can do that as well, okay? Now, I think somebody just joined us there. Isabel, are you all right? Okay, so we're painting today, so we need to open all of your paints first. That's the first thing we're going to do. Okay, and then we're going to need 2 sheets of white paper, 1 sheet of card, and 1 sheet of coloured paper, okay? Have we got everything? Are we all right? And what we're doing is we're doing blow art, okay? So we're putting 1 sheet of white paper behind the other one, and it acts as protection for the table or whatever surface you're on, okay? We're going to do a big blob of a colour of paint on your page and use our straw, which is wrapped in your white paper, to blow it out in different directions, because we're making these really cool ostrich blow paintings today. All right? Okay. So if we just get started as far as there, we can add and we can get the rest of the stuff as we're going later. Okay, so that's the main part that we're doing. Now, as I said earlier on, guys, you can do, you know, 1 colour, you can do 2 colours, you can do 10 colours, 12 colours, whichever, how many colours you want to do, that's fine. It's your design, okay? I think I'm just going to do 3 colours today. So you're going to do a big blob of 1 colour on the page. And then use your straw to blow on it to spread it out. Okay? And we're going to try and make, as best as we can, kind of a circle shape for the face of our bird, all right? And then between each colour, make sure to clean our brush by putting it in the water and just using your toilet roll or kitchen roll to dry off your brush, okay? I'm just going to keep going. I think maybe if you do maybe 2 or 3 dollops of paint, it makes a nice big shape, all right? And it spreads it right out. And you can see I'm moving my page around. If I want to blow it in different directions, you can move it around on the table. If you kind of shift it around like this, you can blow it in different directions. All right? And we're just going to keep doing that for a few minutes until we've got kind of a circle shape for the head. All right? So I'm going to do yellow again next on mine. And I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to do maybe 3 or 4 dollops of paint, depending on how big the colour you want, all right? So I've done a big dollop here. That's 4 dollops of paint, okay? So if you want a big patch, it's about 4 dollops. This one is just 1 up here, all right? And I'm going to do 1 in the middle as well, just to make it nice and even. Here with our paint, a couple of dollops here in the middle. Very good. And I'm going to keep going. So you can really see the difference here. The closer you get the straw to the page, the more it blows out. Okay? Everyone see that? Yeah. And you can also see this lovely effect of the 3 colours mixing here together. I think this is really pretty. Okay, this bit here. All right. So we just keep going until we make a circle, and we can take a good few minutes to do that. Alrighty. All right, so I'm going to keep going. All right, so I'm going to keep adding the colours, and I'm only doing 3 colours on mine. But if you want to do all the colours of the rainbow, like my first guy here, you can do that too. Okay. The important thing is you make it your own. It's your own design and your own colour scheme. And that's the important bit. Okay, so I'm just going to keep adding to it. And you can make a nice small circle for the head, or you can make the whole page the head, but we're going to leave room for the neck as well, okay? Some of your mums and dads might remember we had these really cool blow pens when we were kids, and they had paint in the bottom and the top was open like a straw, and you could just blow through it, and it was a blow art pens, but they only worked really once or twice until the paint got dry. But that's kind of what this reminds me of. And we're going to go up here again. Somebody's exhausted, they're yawning into the camera. Now if there's little gaps and you're not covering the gaps, you can just use your paintbrush and paint them in. So I've just coloured it a little bit here with my paintbrush because I wanted it to spread it out a bit more. Okay, it kind of looks like a dodgy map of Australia at the moment, a little bit, my one. Okay. Somebody had a good idea yesterday. This blow art is really good for other things as well. I had my son suggested actually that you could make a really cool monster. So if you did lots of different blob shapes and you just stuck 2 eyes in the middle and a funny mouth, that could be a scary monster or a funny monster. Or if you blow it in 2 different directions, it could look like a butterfly or a bird with its wings open. But that's completely up to you. If you were going to do another one of these, that might work. Okay. So I'm going to keep going with mine. I think I'm almost finished with my my circle. All right. I'm going to keep going here now, and I'm going to do more orange on mine. I love these colors together because it kind of looks like fire. With the orange and the red and the yellow. Like that. I'm going to just blow that around now. So when you blow it around, guys, as well, it actually spreads the paint out enough so it dries faster as well. Okay, if you can see it there. It won't be so wet for so long, okay? All right, so I'm going to go another little piece of red, I think, and then some more yellow, and then I think I'm done with my circly bit. Yeah. Okay. So you can see there's a little bit white here. So I'm going to just use my paintbrush and paint that in and colour it in, all right? How are you guys getting on? How is it looking? Are we almost there? Yeah, we're good. Lots of thumbs up. Brilliant. Oh, well done, Aina and Clara there. Great stuff. Fantastic, guys. Looks really good so far. So I'm just going to use my paintbrush to kind of colour in the gaps. If there's any gaps that I want filled in, that's what I'm going to do with mine. You can see now it kind of looks more like a circle shape. It's never going to be a perfect circle because that's not what we want, but it's good. Thank you very much for the thumbs up, Emma Jane and Connor. Well done. Okay, so I have my lovely circle done. So I'm going to move on to the neck, okay? Now I know you guys are still working on the circle, but I'm just going to show you a trick for the neck. I'm going to just draw a kind of a rainbow colours on my neck, and then I'm going to show you how to do this lovely detail, which I will show you here on a bigger thing. A lovely detail here, you can see it's kind of like feather detail. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to do a rainbow neck like that and have lovely feather details on it like this, okay? All right, so I'm just going to draw very simply with my paintbrush. I'm just going to choose a colour. And because I'm doing the same 3 colours, I'm going to do yellow first. And all I'm going to do is just paint from the top to the bottom, okay? Now it's hard to do standing up, so I'm just going to do it really quick, lying down in front of me here. And it doesn't really matter if you pick up another colour with your paintbrush. You can see kind of here, I've picked up kind of some of the red and the orange. That's okay. And you don't have to go all the way down to the end of the page because we're putting a frame on it later, okay? And even if we weren't putting a frame on it, you can see with this one, it still looks cool when it's not in the frame, all right? So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do maybe 2 or 3 different colours next to each other, just in straight lines from the top. And we're always going to work from the top to the bottom. And you can kind of see it's a nice little effect at the bottom here that I'm doing when I'm just letting the paintbrush just come to an end at the end, okay? Just like you're brushing a dog. That's what I always say. Like you're brushing a dog. So don't be too hard at the ends, okay? So that's my second colour, and I'm going to do a third colour. And then I'm going to show you how I did that lovely feather effect, all right? Now, with the neck, because it's an ostrich, we don't want the neck to be too fat. Unless you're trying to draw a duck or whatever, or a swan. We want it to be kind of skinny compared to the head, all right? So I'm not going to go wider than this. But if you wanted to, you could do 7 different colours, the colours of the rainbow. And you don't have to do the feather effect on it. It's completely up to you. Whatever one you want to do, okay? And now while the paint is wet still, I'm going to take a darker colour, okay? I'm going to go, I think I'll go with a brown colour for this one for myself. And I'm just going to paint the side, okay? I'm going to do a line down the side here. But I'm going to do the same as I did with my other colours. And I'm just going to go from the top to the bottom. And I'm just going to paint over the top of the neck like that with my darker colour, okay? I'm going to do it and then I'm going to show you what I mean. Okay, so I'm not wetting my brush. I'm not putting more on it. This is called dry brushing because you only dip your paint in the brush once, okay? And you can scrape off a lot of the paint. So you can see that I'm just painted over the top of it here. And at the sides, I'm going to go all the way down. And at the top, I'm only going to do the top. And it just makes it look like he's a bit hairier around his neck. And at the bottom, you can just do some dry brushing again by doing a tiny bit of paint and scrape it off the side of the pot. Okay, and you can just turn your brush upside down and make these lovely shapes, which is easier to do on the table. So if you turn your brush upside down like this, and you just place it on the paper, I'll show you on another piece of paper. If you just place it on the paper upside down, it makes kind of like a feather shape, like that, if you can see it, look. And you could do a couple of these near each other, or spread out around the neck, and it looks like feathers, if you can see it a bit closer there, okay? So that's what dry brushing is. You're kind of blending the 2 colour paints into each other, and you're going to just do hardly any paint, like a scrape of paint, put your paintbrush upside down, and that's how you do dry brushing and the feather effect. Okay, and that's what I'm doing on mine. And I'm going to go all the way down the sides just to make it a little bit more like a neck, more defined. All right. And if you want at that stage, you can go back to your blow paint part if you want, if you feel like you need more of a circle, or you want a different colour up there, you can do it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add some brown on mine.
I kind of messed up a tiny bit.
Oh, that's perfect. That's not messed up. That's perfect. It's lovely. You've got a lovely neck, and I love the colours, and the circle is perfect. So don't worry about that. You can just put it to the one side there to dry for a second. So they all end up looking completely different. So you'll never get the same one twice. And even sometimes when you think you've messed up, they end up being the nicest ones. So never worry about that. There's no such thing as a mistake in art, I always think. Because you're being creative, and I think it's impossible to make a mistake if you're being creative. See, look, mine has run a little bit, but I think that's okay because it looks like feathers. All right. Well done, Eve. That's fabulous. I think that's lovely. Well done. Perfect. Well done, guys. And those circles are brilliant. Isabel, are you okay? Do you have a question? If you have a question, unmute yourself there and ask. Yeah, you can just press the unmute button and you can ask me. You okay?
I was busy doing the neck, so I don't really know how to make it look like feathers and stuff.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll just do that bit with you again, okay? So you take your paintbrush and you dip it into whatever colour you want. And then you kind of, I'll show you in the brown one, you scrape most of the paint off, okay? So I've done that back into my lid, okay? And you turn your paintbrush upside down. You know the way normally we paint like this? We're turning it upside down. I'm going to show you, I'm going to make myself a little bit bigger on this camera, okay? Turn it upside down and just place it there. And it kind of turns out like a little feather shape. And you do lots of them close to each other and it looks like little feathers. Okay, like that. Okay.
Can you do that again?
Yeah.
Just finished doing this.
That's okay. Yeah, I'll do it again. No problem. Okay. So you're going to dip your brush into the paint. And you're going to scrape off most of it again. Okay. So I'm going to dip my paintbrush into the paint. I'm going to scrape off most of the paint. So there's not much paint left on. And it's called dry brushing. So there's not much paint on it. And then, you know the way normally you paint like this? We're going to turn your paintbrush up this way and just place it on the paper. Okay, and this is much easier to do on the table. So you place it on the paper and it turns out like this. So it's kind of a feather shape. I often do flowers like this as well. If you turn your paintbrush upside down, you can do flowers. Okay, like that. I'll show you again. So you're going to just dip it into the paint and scrape most of the paint off again. Scrape it off so you don't have very much on it. You're going to turn your paintbrush up this way and just place it on to the paper. Okay, like that. So you can see I made like I'm making kind of like a flower shape here. But that's what my...
We also haven't done the neck.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, you're just going to draw little lines from the top. In as many colours as you want, okay? Just going to paint normally from the top to the bottom. That's all. And I just did 3 colours and then I painted over the edge of it with some feather effect. But you don't have to do that either. That's completely up to you, okay? Now, what I suggest is you leave the neck for a minute. And we'll come back to the painting in a second. I just want to show you how to do the eyes and the beak first. And then you can do the rest of the painting in a minute, okay? So if you're like me and you have your neck and your face, your head done, you could put it to one side and let it dry. And even now, I think maybe most people should just put it aside for 1 second while we do our eyes and our beak, okay? And then you can go back and finish the neck in a second, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take your second piece of white paper that was underneath your painting. And we're going to use this to make the eyes for our ostrich, okay? And all I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to just draw 2 oval shapes. Now, I want to have him, give him nice big eyes because ostriches have nice big eyes, okay? And we'll go back to the painting in a second. So we'll do the eyes and the beak first and we can go back to the painting in a sec, okay? So I'm just going to draw 2 ovals on my white paper. Now, this piece of paper is the paper that was underneath your painting, okay? All right, because I don't like to waste any paper. And I've just drawn 2 oval shapes for the eye. All right, now, with this, guys, like with our birds the first week, you can do whatever eye you want to do. Any eye at all, or you can copy me, okay? So I'm going to show you my one. I'm just drawing 2 ovals, and I'll do all this again in a second, so don't worry. And I'm drawing 2 C's, okay? So I'm doing 1 C this way, where it's like a half moon, and I'm doing one the other side as well on the other eye, okay? I'll do all of this in 1 minute again, don't worry. And then inside that half circle, I'm going to do a little tiny circle. Okay? And guys, these don't have to be exactly the same. So don't worry if one is slightly bigger than the other. Because you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay? So that's what I've done. And then I will colour this part in here. The second circle in. Okay? So the big circle is white. The middle circle will be black. And the one in the middle in the centre is white. Okay? And I'll do that again for you guys. So I just draw 2 semicircles like that. I did 2 half moons. Okay, it's hard to do in the air. 2 half moons, 1 on each side like that. And 2 smaller circles in the middle. But they're just my design, okay? You can do whatever eyes you want. Even if you wanted to try out those manga eyes that we had the first week, that's completely up to you. And if you want to do another colour apart from black, again, that's up to you as well, okay? But I'm going to do black and white eyes for mine, okay? That's what I'm doing. And then when you've that done, you're just going to colour in the semicircle part in a nice colour. So if you want to do blue or green or whatever colour eyes you have, you can go with that, okay? So I'm just going to keep going and I'm going to colour these in. And then when you've got them coloured in, we're going to cut them out with the scissors, okay?
I kind of dipped my straw in a tiny bit of the paint of the ostrich and put it down a tiny bit like this.
Yeah, that's good.
And then I put my eyes around it, and now they have kind of like the colour of it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love when people get inventive like that, guys. Okay, so remember my little trick about cutting things, small things out? I'm going to cut it out roughly first, small, because when you have to fiddle with a small bit of paper, it's easier than fiddling with a big bit of paper. And I'm just going to cut these out, okay? And I'm going to do something really clever then with the eyes, all right? When we've them cut out. So, and I love the fact that you've done that and they're the same colours as the colours you used for your ostrich's face. Yesterday we had another girl and she did something really cool like that as well. So it's up to you guys. Like with all of the arts and crafts that we do in class, I give you little hints and suggestions, or you can copy me, or if you'd like to do, you know, your own design or your own passion for things, I'd love when you share it with me and the rest of the class, because you give other people ideas. So that's great. Now what I'm going to do here is really clever. I'm going to use the wet paint as glue. And I'm just going to place one of my eyes on the wet glue. I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to pop it down here on the glue, on the wet paint. And the wet paint will help the eyes to dry and stick on your ostrich. Okay? So when you cut out your eyes, you're just going to place them really gently onto the wet paint and they'll dry onto it. So we don't need any glue for this. All right? Which I think is super clever. All right? Brilliant. How are we getting on with the eyes, guys? Does anybody need help or are we all right? We okay? Thumbs up. Yeah, still drawing and painting and blowing and cutting like mad. You're very busy. Well done, guys. That's excellent. You're doing a really lovely job there, Clara. I can see yours there. Well done. Well done, guys. It's really good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move on to his beak. And I'm just going to show you how to do his beak. And we can always go back and finish stuff off later, guys. So don't worry if you're taking your time with the paint. That's brilliant. Well done. Who do I have there is Connor. Well done with the eyes. That's excellent. And we're just cutting the eyes out and sticking them on. But don't worry if you're a little bit behind. It's fine. You'll have time after class to finish off. Especially with painting. There's always going to be one section you won't be able to do until after class anyway. So don't worry about that. Take your time. Okay? Oh, do I see googly eyes there in Evie's house? Are they googly eyes in a bag? Well done, Eve. So just let it flat for a minute to dry. Let it sit flat. Yeah. Don't shake it around because the paint will roll everywhere. So just put it on the table and let it dry. Good girl. Yeah, that's it. Well done. Because we don't want paint flicking all over your kitchen. Unless your mum or dad want a new painted kitchen. But I don't think that's what they want. Okay, so I'm going to move on to my piece of paper. My coloured paper. And that's what I'm going to use for the beak. Okay? Now, if you play your cards right here, you're going to have loads of white paper left and loads of coloured paper left to do stuff with for during the week. If you want to do it up at the corner, that means you have way more paper to play with for the week. Okay, now how I'm going to do my beak is the same as the ones I've done this on Monday and Sunday. Okay, if you'd like to learn how to do that beak, you can follow me. But if you want to do your own, you could do a triangle. You could do a diamond shape. It's completely up to you. But I'm just going to show you how I do mine, okay? So if you want to put your coloured paper in front of you and take a dark colour marker. And we're just going to draw a hill, like a small hill, like that. Okay? Small hill. as if you're going over a speed bump. That's what we're drawing today. Okay? And you're going to do exactly the same shape underneath upside down. All right? And I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, and we're going to try and get it as even as we can, but it doesn't have to be perfect, guys. Okay, so don't worry. It's kind of like a cartoon ostrich anyway. All right? So we've just drawn a little hill at the top, and we've tried to draw the same shape underneath. Sometimes it'll help if you turn the paper upside down rather than drawing upside down. Okay, if you want to turn the paper upside down and turn it the other way and do the other shape. And then all we're going to do is just join the two of these here together, okay? Now, what's good about this is we're cutting it out, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Because you can always fix it. So look, you can see mine. I've got little lines sticking out here at the end, but I don't mind because I'm going to cut those off. Okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him, I don't know what these are called actually, so if anybody knows what these are called, the little dots on the top of their beak. I always call them nostrils, like your nose, but I'm not sure what they are. I should probably look that up. So if you know what they are, you can tell me. So I'm going to do two little lines up here at the top. Like that. Okay. And then how I'm going to make it look like it's a beak that opens is I'm just going to draw a line, following the line here, just a little bit above this bottom one, okay? And it'll make it look like, well done. What's the one there? 1 second. Who showed me their painting there a second ago? Who was that? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I can see it was lovely. It was really nice. And I love your apron in the orange. Right, so guys, I'm just going to draw another line above my bottom line here, just to make it look like it's a beak that opens and closes. And that's a little trick that I've done, okay? So I've drawn a little hill and a hill going the other way underneath. Two little dots at the top and a line just above the bottom line. And I'm going to cut that out again. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the eye, like I did with the eyes. I'm going to cut it out roughly first. Okay? And it means that you have all of this coloured paper left and you have all of this white paper left. Okay? That you can use during the week. So you can use those for whatever you want to make during the week. So there's spare paper. And I'm just going to cut out my beak and I'm going to stick it on the same way I did with the eyes and use the wet paint as glue. Okay? And there we go. Now it's going to take a while for our wet paint to dry, obviously. Especially if you used a lot of paint. So my advice is not to hang it up or move it around too much, otherwise it'll drip everywhere. So we don't want that, okay? So what we're going to do now is I've cut out my little beak and we're just going to glue that on using the wet paint on his face. All right, so I'm just going to place it on here, and weirdly mine was orange in that spot anyway. Okay, so I'm just going to tap that on really gently and that's stuck on, and that's his little face. Okay, that's today's ostrich. Now you have two choices. You can do two things with this. If you want, you can just glue it onto a piece of card, and by doing that it stops it kind of curling up when it gets dry. You know the way that wet paint and paper kind of curls up when it gets warm, it gets dry? It stops it kind of doing that, and it makes it more secure. You can just stick it on, glue it onto the card, or you can make a frame like I did here yesterday with this guy. Okay? And it does the same thing. It stops it from curling up and it makes it look like a framed picture. So I'm going to teach you how to make the frame now, but it's up to you, and you can stick it on when your paint is dry. So you can do this later or even tomorrow. Either stick it onto the back or you can make this frame. And I'm going to show you how to make the frame now, okay? So the piece of card that we had, the nice strong piece of card that we had, I'm going to just loosely fold it. That means I'm not going to make a line in the middle here. I'm just going to fold it over like this. And I'm just going to use my scissors and make a slit in the center. Just cutting it like this. Okay? And I'm going to open it back up. So you can see I've made a little hole here in the middle. Okay? Now, if you have a ruler and you want to do this and you could draw a line around the middle, you can do that. But for now, I'm just going to cut it out. I'm going to do it freehand, is what they say, and do the best I can. So I'm just going to cut up to the top here not all the way up to the top, about to here. And then I'm going to cut this way, okay? And I'm just going to cut across like that. Okay. Now this is a bit difficult, so maybe the older kids will do this really well, or, you know, some of the younger kids might want to do it. So if you do, as I said, just want to glue it onto the card, you can do that. Or you can do this, and you can see what I'm doing is I'm cutting out a frame. Okay? Like that. All right? So the first thing I did was I folded it over, but didn't make a crease in the middle, and I just snipped it. Then stuck my scissors into that snip and cut out some card, okay? And you can see what I've done here now. So I've done one half of it here, guys, look. That's a piece of card you'll have left over as well. So you can do that, use that for something else during the week. Okay, so I've cut out this much, and I'm going to cut the other side now, which is always easier to do the second side. Like that. I'm going to cut all the way up here. Now again, guys, if you want to be super neat about this, you can use a ruler. But I didn't have a ruler handy, so I'm just going to do it freehand. Okay, and that's nice sometimes too, because you can change the shape of the frame. There was one of my students yesterday made a lovely love heart frame for her one, okay? So you can do that if you like. All right, so now I'm left with this shape. My picture frame shape, okay? And when my paint is dry, I'm just going to put glue on the back of this and just glue it on to my painting like that, okay? That's what I'm going to do on mine, okay? And of course, if you're doing a work of art, you have to sign it. So put your name on it and maybe the year or the month, okay? Because that's lovely. And this will make a lovely, like all of our art, it'd make a really nice gift for somebody. Cheer them up because they're nice and bright, okay? So as I said, if you want, you can just glue on all of the card to the back to make it nice and strong. Or you can make that lovely frame and pop it on the front when your paint is dry, okay? And you end up with these lovely bright paintings. You could stick in the window to cheer people up when they're going on their walks. That's brilliant, Emma Jane. Well done. That's a brilliant frame. That's perfect. Well, oh, that's beautiful. I love the fact that you did a lovely black triangle for the beak. That is beautiful. Well done, guys. And Aina and Clara, we've done a great job. Oh, the Murtig household, they're busy cutting it like mad. Well done, Evie. Fantastic. These are great. So these are my ones, look. And you can see that this frame is kind of circular around the edges and this one is square. So they all look completely different, okay? So when your paint is dry, you can stick that frame on, or you can stick the card on the back to make it more secure, all right? I've had a really nice class. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. Have you enjoyed yourselves? Yep. And you're still painting and gluing like mad, and I love that, okay? Make sure you send in those photographs to me because I love to see your artwork, love to share them on my virtual gallery, and I can't wait to see all the different eyes and beaks and colours you guys have chosen, okay? So enjoy your week, all right? And if you have any questions, you can always ask me on the Instagram page or via email as well. Well done, Roisin, that is stunning. Well done. Thanks so much, guys. See you next week. Bye.